So we just got done doing a bit of a brainstorming session around what it takes to create a beautiful relationship and feeling. And something that we brought up in our brainstorm was being in connection, acceptance, and feel in the relationship. How do you see that manifesting, and how would that show up in a reality of true connection?
I'm feeling like we should maybe talk about how we met at the course because it's such a perfect example of like connection. Um, so maybe we could share that.
Yeah, I think it's perfect because it's exactly everything that we were talking about.
Yeah. So we met each other on course, and I remember you were coming to me and we're doing an exercise together. And as we entered the exercise, I was already feeling I'm going into protection mode, and you were looking for me, something like that, right?
Yeah, I could feel you and I could be in that connection with you, and I was looking for you to, like, open yourself up and
And I was really scared of opening up because I've been through experiences that were really hurtful. And then, I or we allowed ourselves to be present and to feel whatever's coming up. And what was really interesting is like as soon as I expressed what I was experiencing, for example, "Oh, I'm so afraid that you're gonna hurt me," or something like that, and you were just allowing and giving the space, we were both just sitting, falling as like our walls dropped down. And yeah, that's how we met, and I think it's such a beautiful example of, like, connection and, connection in a relationship, like, really letting all these masks drop and allowing them to arise in awareness, but then also being there for each other in presence and allowing that to be transformed.
so powerful, and that how we were being able to feel each other so profoundly even though we just met, and it was so beautiful to see the vulnerability of both of us crying because we were both energetically, in a sense, surrendering to one another, where we're giving each other the vulnerability and the safety to express ourselves fully without judgment or, you know.
Yeah, and it was so sweet because you said, like, "You're safe," and then I was like, "Okay." And that's such a good, like, foundation, I think, to have in any relationship, to provide this emotional safety for each other.
Yeah, I agree. And like within that, like, connection, acceptance, and feeling, I feel like we kind of embodied that level of acceptance of one another, and that we were giving each other the space to, like, kind of feel through the transmutation of whatever was in there that was creating that resistance or the walls.
No, yeah.
And
That
it
was
was
like
so cool.
yeah, I feel like that was, like, just a perfect example of, like, how to put that into real life maybe or into, like, a connection between a man and a woman. And I also remember I was really, like, in your face in the beginning, coming, like, with masculine energy almost, and then I allowed and, like, was sitting back, and then it flowed, like, way more naturally as well.
I could feel that flow coming into our experience. And now we have an amazing friendship that is so free, and we get to see each other in our process of evolving and creating that safety on an even deeper level.
Mhm.
And the course that we attended was the Avatar Pro course, and that exercise was so profound for us. And in that safety, we just knew that there was just such a beautiful ability to feel with each other what we were feeling.
Yeah,
And kind of ties into that connection, acceptance, and feel, or some of the core, I think, benefits or attributes of a very healthy, secure relationship.
totally. Yeah, and then the other thing when we were brainstorming is, like, like, feeling into why relationships, sometimes fail, right? And the thing that we found is that we often go with our minds and our costumes, and identities and roles into a relationship rather coming from a heart. So, yeah, maybe you want to share about like, you know, what the difference is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so what we're brainstorming on was how we tend to create so many rules and checklists and parameters that our partner needs to fit in our experience. And when we're dating, if we're single, how we tend to meet a potential partner from the mind, where we filter them through this concept layering process from the mind, where they're like, oh, they're not beautiful enough, or oh, they have a dog, or they have kids, or but really, this is creating so much separation from reality, in that reality, true reality, energetic reality is lived in the heart, meaning we're in feeling and we're in softness and vulnerability and connection with everyone around us, where we give someone an actual opportunity to show up in that connection and feel how that feels,
Mm,
rather automatically disqualifying somebody, for example, because the mind is saying this or that. And something that came up in our conversation was how various practices in today's world is creating more separation, actually, than alignment in the intimate realm of relating.
mhm.
It seems to be it's activating the mind to be even more present in these moments of connection rather than just being and feeling.
Yeah, and I also feel like maybe sometimes when we enter a relationship, at least I know that from myself, I'm like with the head through the wall and like, wanting it your way and not allowing, but like having like your certain ideas how things should be. And as soon as you're in these how it should be's, for example, then you're already like kind of disconnecting because you're going through like these should be filters and not meeting on a real and authentic level, but how you're supposed to be, how the other person's supposed to be. Oh, I have to be pretty girl or or I don't know, I have to impress now the other person, or I don't know, there's all these roles coming up, or for women, I'm gonna seduce them now. Like, we're not even aware of these patterns or like layers anymore, these costumes that we put on, and then we lose our real self. Like, even the spiritual, like, costume, like, oh, I studied so many books and I'm so spiritual now. It's also not being you and real. You're putting like this, oh, I know everything now about relationships. Like, no, like we're all like just on this journey learning to put off our costumes. And it's okay also to have some costume on, but it's good to gain awareness of these costumes so that you can take them off and like be with each other real. And that doesn't mean it has to be perfect or whatever. It's just what it is. Yeah.
In that share, it's so profound because we do tend to come from fear. And so everything you just shared in my viewpoint is a tactic or a byproduct of operating from some form of fear, where we're not necessarily just being our authentic self and saying, I'm worthy and enough as I am. And I can just be authentic and just seek genuine connection and feel how it feels from a place of openness and receivership and just being real. Like, this is
Yeah.
me.
Real is not perfect at all. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like even in the spiritual community, we sometimes have, like, all these standards coming up, like, what is, like, a secure, safe really I mean, of course, like, it's good to feel emotional safety and to feel connection and love, but, like, sometimes I also feel like we're putting, like, some patterns and some ideas into this, and then we're forgetting we're meeting a person who might have been through trauma and through wounds and all these things, and just because we're wounded doesn't mean like we can't connect. It's like part of us growing together as well. I think you don't have to be perfect to be loved.
We don't need to be perfect to be loved. I fully agree with that. And we're perfect as we are. And sometimes when we enter this healing stage of our journey, right, we forget that we're already perfect as we are.
Mm,
And we forget that we're worthy of love as we are. Sometimes, like the healing, right? It's like, I need to get to this certain place to be able to be worthy of a relationship or to be able to create a certain emotional level of safety. Um, but no integrated embodiment happens through the mind. It only happens through experience, through the body. And our trainer Harry Palmer says there's a big difference between a word lesson where
mhm,
somebody tells something, as you know, and a world lesson where we experience and go through something.
mhm. And then you're a changed person after the experience. That's the beautiful thing. You've gained wisdom, and your nervous system almost rewires. Like, for example, like this beginning exercise where we're talking about, like, us meeting on course, I'm pretty sure that both healed us on some level, even though we're just friends, but, like, still, like, we touched on relationship topics, and I'm pretty sure it rewired our nervous system, like, on some level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, like, I want to almost talk about our next concept, and it was like, in a healthy relationship, we said it would be good to align first on where we want to go together. And the image that came up as we were discussing this was that, for example, that if you want to climb together on Mount Everest, that would be your goal, right? And you decide on how you want to go up that mountain, right? But then it's totally fine, like in the case of, still being messy or not perfect, that you might crawl over rocks together and you might, be helped like getting through like some difficult patches up the mountain. Or maybe there might be even moments where one person goes this path and the other path, and you still come together maybe, 20 minutes later, but you're still walking towards like the peak of the mountain. And also, we talked about, that not everybody might have like a similar mountain, right? And that it's okay that you might not feel, or you might not even be aware of some peaks, or you might still need to grow. Like a mountaineer also is not gonna climb Mount Everest right away, right? They might start with some 1,000 meter of elevation, mountains or hills, and then they might do a 3,000 one and so forth. And you might not even imagine that a 8,000 meter mountain might be possible, or you might not feel prepared or ready for it. But you know, yeah.
And like, I guess like, what's showing up for me there is it, meeting each other where we're at in our mountaineering skill set and,
Mhm.
and not judging each other, right? In a relationship, we just meet them where their skills are. And sometimes there aren't embodied skills to create enough emotional safety and to understand that love is an action and a choice rather than fully just a feeling. Yeah, it's being able to meet each other in that experience, I feel, where we are open enough, headed in the same general direction, while being able to embody emotional safety, alignment to our agreements, and clear and effective communication to handle those rocks and those slips
Yeah.
along the way, to where trust and attunement doesn't get lost in connection,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
also prevent resentment and resignation.
Mm. Yeah, and another thing we talked about is that, that the reality of things is that most of the, like, probably more than 50% of us, yeah, are actually not in secure relationships at the moment. And how can we create more security maybe also? Well, maybe we can also talk about this, like, a little bit, how we can create more security for each other.
For me, it shows up as just presence
Mm.
and showing up in that emotional connection without judgment or filters or the mind coming into it. And when we show up in full presence and emotional and energetic attunement, like I can feel you, Carolyn, right now in your feeling, your embodiment,
Mhm.
but we're in connection in this moment.
Yeah.
But if somebody like patches out and loses connection or isn't present,
Mm.
this kind of turns on the mind in some
Wow.
way
Yeah. I can totally feel that again, and that was, like, also one of our concepts, I feel like, from our brainstorm that, that as soon as you go into the mind, you're kind of, like, losing the connection, and then you're getting into your patterns and reactivity and all these things, whereas, like, if you're completely present, like, you can really stay and feel and connected with the other person now. Yeah.
Yeah. So many times we kinda get out of our center,
Mm,
and I guess that would mean, like, we're in survival, right? It's one
mm.
of the types is activated, like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and sometimes we don't even know it, that we're experiencing life from a place of the mind and survival rather than in feel and connection.
And the beautiful thing, I think, like, also is about also the avatar courses that you're learning how to connect again to feel. Like, that's an ability that we've all known as children, and children are so intuitive about it, and they feel like all the animals and all the plants, and they're so connected with the world and with nature. And then, like, we kind of lose it because we go more into our minds. And that's a beautiful thing about the course, I feel, that you learn how to fully connect with yourself and the world again. And because you're meeting yourself again and you're connecting so deeply with yourself and the world, then you're able to meet others again. Like, every course that I'm doing and I'm learning, I feel like I'm meeting deeper parts of myself and coming closer maybe to, like, maybe a higher summit or something, or getting the feel of it. It's almost like stepping into, like, a new space time and into a new reality. And sometimes I feel like for me, I'm just tasting it and I'm there for like a few moments, and then it's a few moments longer, then I'm slipping out of it again. So I think, like, the real question is also, like, how do you stay in that feeling that you can get to the summit? At least that's for me at the moment very present in my life. Like, let's say I want a soul level relationship, and then it's all about, staying in that feel of that reality, what that's gonna feel like, right? Yeah, that's one thing, and the other thing, I think you can also create it together. So if you meet someone and, like, you're both aligned on walking, like, a 4,000-meter, like, mountain, for example, and you've defined that goal, but then you're noticing as you're, like, integrating together because you're present with each other and you're in feel with each other, and, like, with each thing that you integrate together, it almost seems like you're connecting even deeper. And then you're integrating another thing by being present with each other, integrating again. And I think this, like, grows you so much together as a couple that you might reach the 4,000 mountain together. And then you're like, huh, well, we feel so deeply connected. Let's do a bigger one next time. I don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my take on it.
I like how you shared, like, getting a taste of that connection for a moment and then it's a little longer. And I think when two people do come together that have done enough work, I do think it does require some level of work to be able to create
Mm,
that connection in ourselves.
yeah.
Um, Not all the time, but an awareness of it. And
Mhm.
in that integrated embodied awareness of it, or that feeling of being able to create that feeling within ourselves, it's my perspective that we do create a deeper level of integration where we can create that experience, soul level connection
Mm,
in the present moment where we don't fall out of our hearts as much and we're experiencing and feeling that pure connection
mhm.
to source.
Yes.
And for me, like, I have experienced that. It is a taste here and there, and different things trigger that deeper level of conscious connection. However, there wasn't enough integrated skills to protect that connection in the
Yeah.
past.
I think I need to get some light, but, like, I think this is such an important topic, like the skills. Just let me get some light here. This is gonna be a very experiential podcast. In the present moment, we're living it. We're living the present moment experience with us. Be live. Ta-da.
Be in reality, be
Yeah,
here.
totally. So that we're not, like, losing ourselves in the clouds. Um, yeah, no, I love the fact that you said the thing about skills. Because as we increase our skill set, no matter in which domain, like either like, at making money or like as a scientist or whatever our profession is, I think it's the same true for relationships. Like if we learn skills, how to connect with each other and how to grow together from difficulties instead of like bam and separating. The fascinating aspect is always like, for me at least, like if we're separating from the other person, we're separating from a part of ourselves because we're not ready to look at it like really deeply and walk through it. It's like that's the mind-blowing aspect of it. Like you're always gonna meet some amount of version of yourself and it's gonna come back. And if somebody says, "Okay, I'll take you by the hand. We have like our toolkit," like and we're mountaineers and we're climbing this mountain together. Like what you're gonna experience together, like you're gonna meet yourself anyways, Like and if you have a skill set, I think you can walk through it together. At least that's my belief. Yeah.
What shows up for me there is like an identity, right?
Mhm.
Two identities coming together where we're experiencing the resisted identity of like of someone that we just haven't been able to accept that part of ourselves yet.
Yeah.
And it's a challenging thing to hear sometimes if we're in some form of like resisted consciousness, like a victim consciousness where we can't take responsibility for our side
Mm,
and our part of that equation.
mm,
Eh, Why can't we accept them in love?
mm,
What's right? Like if we're talking about like a soul level union, it would be full responsibility for my behaviors, actions, thoughts, words, and energy. And I would be able to fully accept my partner in love and compassion and safety without judgment, criticism, blame, or shame.
I
And
mean,
in
that
that,
would be ideal, yeah.
yeah, this is the picturesque idea of
Yeah,
it. But it's like, why can't we do that if we're deciding that's the summit?
yeah, yeah,
And that's where the different levels of integration really expose themselves when we meet each other in the present moment and these parts of ourselves rise up and the mind and the experiential self is a different reality.
yeah. So, we must be very skilled to reach soul level connection maybe, and, um, be very vulnerable, I think, be very real and authentic, being okay, like, even if things get messy. Wow, just I mean, just feel that, like, it's okay if things get messy. Just imagine you can say that full-heartedly. It's okay when you're I don't know, when you're stubborn or rigid or whatever comes up. It's okay
Yeah.
when you're protesting. Just imagine you could give that to your partner, like, that it's okay to be messy too. Yeah, I think then you can really grow together, yeah. And then you're just like,
Yeah.
"Okay." Here we go again. Also this lightheartedness of like recognizing like your patterns and playing with them a little bit. Of course, that's not possible in the beginning, but as you become more aware, and I think that's what the avatar tools are teaching you as well, is to have like a little bit fun with your costumes that are putting up. But here I go manipulating again, and then, or, if you notice it as like, the other person, I can see you're protesting again, or you're rigid again. I can feel you're closing up. And then you're like, yeah, I'm the closed up closet. That brings like some lightness into it. And I feel like that's something you learn really well at the Avatar course, to play with these like creations, these costumes, these roles that we play, and put them like off automatic and get more control over them and get into like a playful spirit. And like it doesn't have to be so serious, I think, right? Like
Yeah.
we can play with our faults as well, and our messiness and our creations. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cause like we can get so lost in being too serious and so rigid. These are my boundaries. These are my limits. Like these are my preferences. It's like the drill sergeants come online and
Yeah, me
And
too. I'm always like, "I want it that way." That's my favorite one. "I want it that way. If you're not that way, I'm gonna quit." But I think if, 2 people have the same awareness of and can playfully, like, make each other, like, aware of patterns, and also it increases your skill set to come out of these automatic behaviors more easily, and you can support each other. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And so essentially at the end of the day, it's like noticing that we're all human and that we all have some form of conditioning or indoctrination or trauma that
Mm,
we're all experiencing through in
mhm.
our attempt to be in our authenticity.
Yeah, yeah,
A- And these things do create separation.
yeah.
And knowing that that's okay as well, and meeting that with love and acceptance and compassion, it
Mm,
creates a bridge from the mind and the traumas to experiential source or awareness where we understand the game we're in. We've
yeah,
chosen the right, providing there isn't abuse or things that are beyond the true limit of acceptance and what you're willing to tolerate or
yeah.
experience, right?
Of
And these
course, like
need to be,
yeah, of course you need to have healthy boundaries, and there's certain things like of course where you say, "Okay, that doesn't feel good for me, like we're not aligned or this feels abusive." Like you should like if you have good self-awareness and like you love yourself, then you know what is good for you, what you can allow and what you can't. Yeah, of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
I think that's a very big point here too, is knowing what you can and can't allow before going into climbing the Mount Everest, right?
Mhm.
Times we don't even know ourselves enough and haven't built the relationship with ourselves enough to be in feel with our true relationship with our higher self.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. And one thing I also that just came to my mind as we were talking about the Mount Everest thing is like we read in our book, if you want to be successful, have a lot of what is called not non-successful moments, kind of like that. Like
Yeah,
learn a lot about failing if you want to learn about success. And things that we also talked about is surrendering. And I feel like all these and Harry often said like everything is perfect right now, like just follow your divine will. Like if I put all these concepts together, then it's totally okay to fail, a relationship or fail during your relationship. That's all good. Like, trust that everything is perfect in the moment and divine. And, like, even though, you might be hurt and you have wounds and all these things, like, you're learning how to build a successful relationship by embracing these wounds and embracing these failures and like knowing just, that you're guided and trusting you're guided by your divine will, that if you really want a soul level relationship that you can create it and that every lesson is perfect on the way.
yeah, absolutely. And it's so true, right? Because sometimes we can have a hard moment or hardship or a breakup and
Mhm,
turn it inward and think, "Oh, I did something wrong," and that self shame and guilt and criticism
mhm.
comes in.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So that's a beautiful point.
Yeah, and then coming back yeah, and then coming back to, like, every lesson is perfect. I mean, like, when I say that, like, I feel like all the pressure, like, coming off my shoulders, and I'm just like, "Okay, every lesson is perfect." I trust the divine will, like, every failure is bringing me closer to success, like, like, those are some beautiful mindsets or things are gonna turn out even better than I can imagine, like, it's really about, like, what you want to believe about it, Is a failure something bad, or are you seeing it as, like, a pathway to success, Like, it matters a lot how what attitude we have and what beliefs we have about relationships, in the end as well. Mm.
For sure. Yeah. The quality of our life is based on some form, the quality of our stories and experience life through our stories in a way. And we can create the same relationship over and over again because of our stories. And it's like a copy of the past that was, we had a moment happen it's not that the moment happened, it's about the story we've created about that moment and that we've recreated every time so many times in our past after that event. Those are the repetitions that we've created that has wired our neurosynaptic connections to be a certain way.
Totally,
And
totally, yeah. Yeah. And, like, that's the thing, like, I feel like through like, for me personally, I do, like, a lot of the avatar trainings, been doing it for 7 years. I feel like I do still know my old story, but, like, as I said, like, moving your foot into the new reality and feeling more comfortable in the new reality and then staying for it for, like, a few hours at first and maybe a few weeks, like, it will slowly shift, like or maybe even fast, you know? And maybe that's just my belief that it's slow, but you will shift into like a new reality bubble of how you really fully want to create like love in your life. Yeah. And it's a very deliberate act and deciding for yourself that you really deserve love.
right, and I can hear it in your voice, the level of embodiment there, right? Like
Mhm.
the worthiness within yourself to truly know you're worthy and ready for true love. Like
Yeah.
that, right? That's experiential embodiment where it's not a concept anymore. It's like it's here, it's in my body, and I'm worthy of it. It's
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I was not even aware as I said it, but like it obviously it landed over there. Yeah, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. That's a really nice reflection. Thank you for reflecting that back to me. Yeah. Yeah.
sure. And so I guess to kind of close there, it's like what are the key tenets, right, to create a true soul union? It's, being able to be and feel within yourself and true love within yourself where we don't gaslight ourselves as much
Mhm.
and give ourselves permission to feel and make mistakes and know it's okay, where we're
Mhm.
not shaming ourselves all the time
Mhm.
and knowing that we're meeting life through the heart rather than the mind and concepts. And we know what our summit is and we know we have the skills to create that climb and that ascent to the summit,
Mhm.
and we know what we're willing and not willing to tolerate in that climb,
Mhm.
and have the self-worth to say, oh, I'm sorry, like I don't feel comfortable climbing the summit with this happening. I don't feel safe on
Mm.
this mountain. And because some people can't say no, right?
Yeah, and then just being very real and authentic and vulnerable as well on their journey.
Yeah, yeah, being able to be human and soft. We don't none of us have it figured out, right?
No, 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 like, we're all on the same journey. I think, like, that's really important to realize as well. Like, we're in this together, all learning about love and how to grow and how to be in a secure, loving relationship.
Yeah, and it's meeting it with that awareness that it's a slow evolution in this journey. It's the process. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Carolyn.
This has been
Do you have any
amazing. Thank you.
do you have any last things you'd like to share?
No, it was really nice just to connect and talk and share. Yeah.
I agree. And if anybody's interested in the avatar courses, both of us are certified avatar masters. And I mean, I know I stand behind the course. I know Caroline does as well. And it's been absolutely transformative for both of us in ways that words can't describe.
Puddle, puddle. I just say puddle. Loving puddle. It's like so amazing. I freaking love this course. It has done so many amazing things for me. And I think for you as well, Shawn, to crack us open and yeah, let go of some layers of stuff and feel lighter and feel happier and more playful. And yeah, just living our authentic selves, even in the messy moments. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, it's like what we were talking about earlier, the difference between a word lesson and a world lesson. It's a course that brings your consciousness through a world lesson where you get to experience the things that you're resisting or desiring and see the identities that are at play that are causing maybe disconnection in your experience or unwanted creations that you're resisting or desiring that
Mhm.
in creating some form of dissonance in your reality. If you're interested,
Yeah, yeah,
we'll put the contact information in here for Carolyn and myself.
yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much
So yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy we did this, and yay, I'm so excited for everything that's ahead of us, and yeah,
too. This is
good
so
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening into this episode. I hope you got a lot of wisdom and information that will change your life. We would love it if you followed us on Instagram. You can find Carolyn at Feeling Beyond Horizons, and you can find my Instagram at Shawn, SHAWN, on relationship. If you're interested in signing up for the Avatar course and you either resonated with Carolyn or myself, our emails are Carolin, Carolin Hofer, Hofer at hotmail.com, or info at Shawn, Shawn Wilson, Wilson coaching.com.